Hey everybody, what's up? We are back with part 2 of checking out every single legendary champion in Infinite Magicraid. If somehow you are seeing this one first and missed part 1 and want to check it out, I'll card to it up there. Other than that, let's go ahead and jump right into it because we know it's going to take a while, huh? Picking it up with Elena. She looks real cool. That armor. Is that her? No, that's the shirt. I was going to say, is that supposed to be her skin? But then her face is not like that. All right, so bleeds and counterattacks. What do we got? Bleeds on the A1. Grants self counterattack for 3 turns. Meanwhile, grants self an extra effect hit for 2 turns. Interesting. Is she the legendary holder? She deals 25% attack damage to all enemies with 3 layers or more of bleed and resets the duration of bleed on them at the end of an ally's turn. Meanwhile, she grants herself 1 layer of Spirit Blade. She casts Severing Lightning and loses all layers of Spirit Blade after reaching 12 layers of Spirit Blade. What is Severing Light? And then grants 30% Leech. No longer limited by the layers of bleed. Inflicts 1 layer of bleed for 2 turns on the target who has no bleed when dealing damage to them. And then this is Severing Light. 60% attack damage to all enemies with a 40% chance to inflict bleed. The skill has an additional 20% Leech. She kind of seems like legendary holder, right? Counterattack, but she puts effect hit up on herself instead of attack buff, and then bleeds on the A1, and then she's got some passive mechanics, whereas holder, real quick, let's take a look. Is he Eternal Sect? Yeah. He's got bleeds on the A1. He's got an AoE with bleeds, but she has an AoE with bleeds as well. He does more damage to targets under bleed. And then here he counterattack and attack up. Yeah, interesting. I didn't realize there was like a legendary version of that. So that's on a 4 turn, same as holder. And then, so wait, does this, it's a passive skill. This is kind of confusing. Deals 25% attack damage to all enemies with 3 layers or more of bleed and resets the duration of bleed on them at the end of any ally's turn. So any ally's turn that ends, if there are enemies with 3 layers or more of bleed, she does attack damage to them and resets their bleeds? Does that not seem broken? That's crazy, right? That's permanent. That means the bleeds won't expire if you can't... Like, if you get them up to that point, if you don't cleanse them, they're just there until you kill her. And then she grants herself a layer of Spirit Blade, and when she gets 12, she does her ult. I hate that once you do that, you can't get rid of it. And then when you get her exclusive 3, she's no longer limited by the layers of bleed. Excuse me. Inflicts 1 layer of bleed for 2 turns on a target who has no bleed when dealing damage. So when you get her 3rd exclusive, they don't even have to have 3 or more layers. She just does it. Yeah, she seems interesting. If you have her and have any experience with her, let me know. She seems like legendary holder on some steroids a little bit. Extra leech built in too. Yeah, she seems strong. Interesting. Fiona. I feel like I run into Fiona a bit in the arena lately. Revive. Yeah, there's not a ton of revivers in the game. Be interesting to check her out. So we've got inferior severe wound on the A1. And restores her HP for the ally. 5% of her HP for the ally with the lowest HP. That's pretty nice, actually. That's pretty dope. Cleanses and allies all debuffs. Okay. Cleanses all debuffs from 1 ally, I think. And grants them block debuffs for 2 turns. Meanwhile, increases target's attack. If the target is killed, revives the target to 20% of Fiona's max HP and grants them stealth for 2 turns. Okay, so if they're alive, she cleanses them and puts block debuffs on them with an attack buff. If they're dead, I guess she revives them and grants them stealth. Okay. And then additionally restores an ally's HP by 20% when targets his ally. If the ally is dead, grants them a shield. Okay. She's immune to control effects altogether. Wow. That explains it. There's been times when I go against her in arena with my Sentin and I throw out my AoE provoke, and I realize that the champ that has these little purple wings, which is her, never catches the provoke. But again, I've never bothered to like check her out and figure out why. I just assumed she was a support champ people were building with high resistance, but that explains it. She's just immune to them altogether. She gains a layer of grace whenever an ally enemy is successfully controlled or controls anyone successfully. Restores all allies' HP by 10% of Fiona's max HP when she reaches 8 layers. Cooldowns 2 turns, cannot be accumulated during the cooldown. Okay, all right, cool. And then here, damage to all enemies, so an AoE stun. That's an interesting skill to give her. You can get up to a 60% chance. That's an interesting skill to give her. Being a reviver and a support and stuff. I guess it's cool though. I don't hate it. Just kind of interesting to have her ult be that. Shielder. He looks kind of cool, huh? They all kind of have this thing going on in this faction, don't they? Well, okay, never mind. Forget I said it. Forget I said anything. Defense damage to a single enemy with a chance to reduce their defense. And then the exclusive is real nice. That gives him a good A1 defense down. You know anything about me, you know I'm a fan of a good A1 defense down. That's huge. And 100% chance. Dope. Remove shield from the enemy target. 480% defense damage. If the shield is removed, increases 30% damage. Man, that's a big ol' smack right there. And then exclusive 2 bumps up. That's a big ol' smack for an A2 on a 3 turn. That's beefy, dude. And removes the shield. Yeah, that's nasty. Defense for all allies for 2 turns at the beginning of each wave. Nasty. Man, he'd go real well with my Sentin on the free-to-play. Shielder counterattacks once with a basic attack and restores self HP by 4% of max HP when he takes direct damage dealt by the target with a shield. So having shields against this dude is really not going to serve you well. And then here we've got increases defense by 30% for 2 turns. Deals 200% defense damage to all enemies with a chance to inflict silence. The chance doubles if the target has a shield. You can get it down to a 4 turn, and then silences enemy targets with shield first and removes the shield from them. After which deals damage. Yeah, he's dope. He's real dope, actually. I'd be stoked to pull him. That A2 is that's a beefy smack, dude. Elena. Do I have Elena? I don't think I have Elena. No, I don't have Elena. I think she might be reminding me of Vera, maybe. We'll see. Damage to a single enemy and transfers all debuffs to them. Reduces the target's defense by 30%. 2 turns if no debuffs are transferred. Damage to all enemies and removes all their buffs. Nice. 70% chance to reduce the enemy's speed. Nice. So a strip with a slow. AoE strip with a slow. That's pretty good. Reduces crit damage taken by all allies by 18%. Oh, that's nice. When multiple skills increase, only the strongest one will take effect. Increases the crit damage of all allies by the same amount of crit damage reduced of all enemies. Increase the crit damage of... Oh, wow. Okay. So if you max this, it's 20, 22, 24, 26. 26% less crit damage taken, 26 more % crit damage done. That's a pretty dope passive. Great for arena defense. I mean, great for anything, but particularly. Cleanses all attribute debuffs of all allies and restores HP to all allies on a 4 turn. Additionally grants a shield. Okay, yeah, she's a sick support. She's real nice. She does a lot, man. She's got a lot going on. Yeah, that's a solid little faction right there. All right. Isaro, I checked him out the other day in a video. He's kind of cool. Lots of bleed stuff. A1 bleeds. Damage to a single enemy and restores self HP by 8% of max HP. Inferior severe wound on the target. If the target is under bleed or severe wound, inflicts severe wound instead for 2 turns and restores self HP. Additionally triggers bleeds, and then his bleed damage dealt by 8% for every 1 layer of bleed. So this is the cool part right here. The more bleeds you have stacked, the more damage his bleeds do, which could ramp up real quick. That's an interesting passive to have. I think he'd be great PvE. And then here, just a bunch of bleeds. Like, just a real bleed heavy champ. Cool mechanics though, cool passive. Amalek. Maybe? Amalek. Attack damage has additional 20% leech when landing a crit. That's cool. Damage to a single enemy reduces their turn meter. 100% chance to inflict a freeze. And you can get that turn meter up a lot, dude. 50% turn meter. And then steals it with its exclusive. That's nice. Each stage of damage inflicts 1 layer of sword aura. Removes all layers of sword aura on a target who has 5 layers of sword aura. Afterwards, there's a 100% chance to inflict a freeze on them for 1 turn. Additionally, pursues and attacks the target 1 time when it's triggered. Okay. Damage to all enemies, chance to reduce defense, and chance to reduce tenacity. Oh, that's nasty. Tenacity. Yeah. Deals additional stage of damage. That's a nice ult right there. He's pretty sick. Zyra. Defense, lots of defense damage early on here. With a 30% chance to reduce a target's attack and a chance to reduce their defense. All right, attack and defense down on the A1. Damage to an enemy and 2 other random enemies. Chance to inflict a freeze or a silence. Wait, was it or and? Yeah, it's an and here. It's an or here. Okay, freeze or silence. Chickens 5 layers of eternal. Boy, they love creating buffs and stuff for the champs. There's a lot to remember here. 5 layers of Eternal Night at the beginning of each wave. Each layer increases her effect resistance by 10% and reduces the damage she takes by 4%. 1 layer of Eternal Night is lost when she is inflicted with a control effect, and 1 layer of Eternal Night is gained when she successfully inflicts a control effect. When a turn starts, for every enemy target under a control effect, she restores self HP. Okay, so pairing her with provokes and freezes and stuns and stuff is a good move. Is reduced due to a control effect. There's a 40% chance to cleanse all control effects from self, and then 25% effect hit, and then here I assume, yeah. Wow. Okay. Same chance to additionally inflict block buffs for 1 turn, and a 50% chance to make the inflicted control effect irresistible and can't be removed. That is funky. That is funky. Okay. That's some interesting RNG right there. Gramdy. Defense damage. Again, if the enemy is under speed down or freeze, this attack deals extra damage by 5% of the target's max HP. It caps at 10% of his max HP. This attack has an additional 40% leech. Okay, that's pretty nice, actually. I think probably better for bosses if you can get a slow on them. That's kind of nice. And then you get some good max HP damage. And it's got a lot of leech. So that's going to be a good heal. That's pretty nice. Damage to a single enemy reduces their turn meter with a chance to inflict freeze. He is immune to speed down and freeze. When he takes direct damage, there's a 40% chance to reduce the attacker's speed by... Oh, that's real nice. That's real nice. That makes his A1 good. If the attacker's already under speed down, then there's a 40% chance to inflict freeze. He is immune to death and restores self HP by 40% when taking fatal damage on a 5-turn cooldown. Reduces the turn meter of enemy targets under speed down or freeze by 10% at the start of his turn. And then deals 40% more damage and takes 20% less damage from targets under speed down or freeze. Yeah, he's dope. That passive's cool. And then here, damage to all enemies with a chance to reduce speed and inflict freeze. I love a kit that synergizes, man. I love that his passive sets his A1 up to do work. If that's against the boss, That's real nice. He's going to be able to keep himself in the fight pretty good, I think, with that. And it's defense damage, so you can scale his tank stats up. May, she looks cool. Damage to a single enemy. More damage for every layer of debuff. That could add up. 3 stages of damage to all enemies. 40% chance to inflict horrify. The chance increases. All right, so you want to pair her with other debuffers. 80% attack damage to targets with debuffs at the... Oh, that's cool. Increases damage by 50%, has an additional... Man. So at the end of her turn, she does extra damage. And skilled up and exclusive, 90, 100, 110, 120, 170. 170% attack damage just at the end of her turn after she's already done what she does. To enemy targets with... So any debuffs. Deals damage to all enemies with a chance to reduce their attack. And gains piercing rate. Yeah, she's pretty sick. I like that passive. That would be kind of fun. We got quite a few in here. Lam, one of those. Damage to a single enemy and random targets and extra damage based on his HP, his max HP. Deals damage to all enemies and extra damage, 5% of his max HP, and inflicts a layer of black flame. Each layer of black flame reduces the target's... Oh, so he's got destroy. Okay. He destroys HP. Each stage of his damage has a 60% chance to inflict 1 layer of black flame. Each layer reduces the target's max speed of 10 layers. For each layer, enemy targets lose 0.5% of max HP before taking actions every turn when he survives. So it's like an HP... It's like a HP burn destroy, I guess. The amount of HP lost for each layer of black flame caps at 1.5% of his max HP. HP lost is not deemed as taking damage, and HP can only be reduced to 1. Healing effect. Yeah, that's kind of funky, huh? There's so much to read here, dude. Reduces target's effect resistance by 25% when they have 5 layers of black flame, and their healing effect by 30% when they have 7 layers. When an enemy target has 10 layers, the HP loss dealt by each layer of black flame increases to 1% of the target's max HP, but cannot exceed 3% of his max HP. Okay. When he inflicts 1 layer of black flame successfully, he grants self 1 layer of flame energy, which increases self max HP. So his HP goes up as theirs goes down. And then can be stacked up to 15 layers. When an enemy target has 15 layers, the HP loss increases to 1.5. Okay. And then the ult, 3 stages of damage to all enemies with damage immunity. Funky. That would be an interesting thing to play around with. A decent answer to like some of the tankier teams, I reckon. Dario. I have never seen this dude. Never. You could have shown me a picture of him and I would not have known he was in the game. I have never seen this dude. 280% attack damage to a single enemy and grants a layer of shadow flame. Okay. 500% attack damage to a single enemy and gains 2 layers of shadow flame. That's a beefy A2, man. Holy shit. 660 damage skilled up on an A2 on a 3 turn? Get out of here. 1 layer of shadow flame at the beginning of each wave. Every time a unit dies, gains 1 layer of shadow flame. When gaining 6 layers of shadow flame, releases disrupting ray, which I assume is his ult. And then reduces... Okay. 300% attack damage to the enemy with the lowest HP. If this skill successfully kills the target, gains 2 layers of shadow flame. This skill ignores defense, but cannot land a crit. Interesting. 3 layers of shadow flame when it kills the target. Has 20% more leech rate. Attacks 1 more enemy and slashes the target. I thought one of the exclusives would be enabling it to crit. I guess I'd have to see that in action. It's hard to really know. 300% attack damage that ignores defense, but it can't crit. So like, I don't know how effective that is, honestly. Turf. Attack damage to a single enemy with poisons, self-shield, and counter-attack on a 3 turn. Increases the shield effect by 60%. Damn. Okay. Damage dealt by turf by 30% to any target under poison. Meanwhile, there's a 30% chance to inflict a layer of poison on the attacker for 2 turns when he takes direct damage. Okay. So kind of like a Drexthar, but with poisons. And then he does more damage to targets with poisons. And then extra leech when attacking targets with poison. Inflicts deep poisoning on the target for 2 turns. Afterwards, deals 3 stages of attack damage to a single enemy with a 50% chance to inflict poisons. And then increases. Okay, yeah. Deep poisoning's dope. Carry. Wow, this is interesting. That's an interesting champ design. Huh, I dig that. That's really cool. And she's a reviver. Let's see what we got going on here. 240% attack damage to a single enemy. Increases self-turn meter by 15% if she crits. 220% attack damage to a single enemy. Inflicts Horrify. Leaves Demon Shadow. And then revives with 50% of max HP 3 turns after she is... Oh, that's what that is. So I've seen her. Sometimes in arena, I'll kill someone and there will be this purple fog. And that's her. I didn't realize. I wasn't... You know what I mean? I'm not paying that much attention, honestly. Sometimes I'm just letting them auto. Sometimes I glance over and see that. Increases all allies' crit rate by 16% and reduces all enemies' crit rate by 16% when Demon Shadow is on the battlefield. When multiple skill... Okay. When carry is killed, the active skills of the killer are all in... Oh, interesting. Interesting. Reduces an enemy's turn meter by 100% and deals 440% attack damage to them. This skill deals 50% more damage if the target's turn meter is still above 0 after the reduction, and then additionally selects one enemy with the highest turn meter and changes to Steel's turn meter. Okay, yeah, she's not really a reviver. She revives herself. That's cool. She's kind of a cool champ, actually. Love the model. That's a really cool model. Zagzulu. I have him on the main. Haven't done much with him yet, but he's there. Attack down on the A1. Relatively beefy A2 with a slash. And then if he kills it, resets his cooldown with an exclusive. For any target under attack down, Holocaust and Apocalypse slash them when their HP is lower than 30%. And he deals more damage to targets who are immune to slashes, so that makes him good in PvE and PvE. And then restores self HP by 25% of max HP when he kills. And then, yeah, you got it. And then an AoE. And if the target's HP is below 20% before the attack is launched, slashes the target directly. Fewer enemies on the battlefield, the higher the damage Apocalypse causes. Yeah. So he's kind of cool in that, like, his kit makes sense everywhere. If there's a lot of enemies or if there's one, it kind of adjusts to what's going on, which I think is pretty cool. I just haven't put a lot of resources in him yet, but we will. We'll get him checked out. Ascendo. I've seen her quite a bit recently. I recognize this part of her face up here, so let's see what she's got going on. Why am I seeing her so much? Change to inflict silence and reduces the turn meter if they're already under silence. Damage to a single enemy with a silence. And then steals turn meter. Okay. Increases her turn meter by 5% and restores her HP by 1.2% whenever an enemy target is inflicted with a control effect. And then damage to all enemies. Oh, it's the AoE silence. Okay. Yeah, okay, that's what it is. Increases self-turn meter at the beginning of each wave. That's pretty nice. Okay, I get it. It's the silence. Torrid. He's pretty cool looking, huh? I feel like I've seen him a bit too. An A1 AoE makes sense. Removes all buffs from the target and inflicts resist buff and horrify on them for 1 turn. Then deals attack damage. Removes all buffs from the target and then puts block buffs and horrify and then hits them. And then it's 2 turns with an exclusive and on a 3-turn cooldown. Not bad. Direct damage to enemy targets under horrify, and then additionally inflicts 1 layer of shadow on the target when he puts horrify. Each layer of shadow increases his piercing rate when he's attacking. Shadow can be stacked up to 5 layers and cannot be removed. Okay, so slightly longer fights are bad news if he can place the horrify. Damage to all enemies with a chance to inflict horrify, and then all enemies from one turn when he inflicts a kill. Interesting. Okay, I could see how that would add up. Agatha. The swords are sick looking. If they're even, yeah, I guess they are swords. Yeah, they're pretty cool. 2 stages of attack damage to a single enemy and inflicts 1 layer of Countess's Kiss. Up to 10 layers. Each layer increases the leech of the attack made against targets who have. Oh, so everyone gets to leech. Grants attackers a certain amount of leech when being attacked. I know what it means. Yeah. Okay. Alright. Removes all buffs from a single enemy and deals 580% attack damage. Increases damage by 20% if buffs are successfully removed. And restores HP by 10% of damage dealt by this skill for all allies. Steals the target's buffs instead and restores HP. Okay. Gains immunity to severe wound and has 26% chance to transfer shield or heal gained by... Oh! That's interesting right there. And then you can buff up the chance. She's immune to all control effects when she has shield and gains healed effect when she has heal. Okay. Revives the target with 40% of max HP if there are dead allies at the start of the turn. Oh, okay. And then skill cooldown is 3 turns. All right. 3 layers of attack damage to all enemies and inflicts 1 layer. She's pretty funky, man. She's pretty interesting. That shield and heal steal thing is interesting. Nameless Brotherhood. Frick? What do you got going on? 2 stages of defense damage to a single enemy with a chance to inflict a provoke. Damage to all enemies with a chance to put attack down. Has the same chance to reduce crit damage with exclusive. Restores self HP by 4% and increases self turn meter by 10% when taking crit damage. Okay. Increases self turn meter by 5% when an ally takes crit damage. Each attack can only trigger this effect up to once. Okay. Alright. And then grants self, taunt, and shield by 25% of max HP. What is taunt? Oh. So it's like inverse provoke. Interesting. It's provoke without needing the effect hit to land provoke. Interesting. It's basically an AoE provoke. For 2 turns? Is that interpreting, or is it just a shield that's 2 turns? Are they both for 2 turns? He puts up this for 2 turns. Maybe it's not the same as provoke. Maybe they can still do whatever they want. They just have to do it to him. So like if they have an AoE, it's not like auto A1 maybe, whereas a provoke is auto A1. Maybe taunt is like they can use whatever skill they want, but he has to be the target they click. Maybe. I don't know. I guess if you have him and you know the answer to that, let me know. That seems insanely strong though, if that's like everyone has to use their A1. That's a long time to lock them down. The exclusive is not, yeah, if that's how that works, he's real strong. He's good anyway, but he's real strong if it's like a provoke. This dude looks sick as hell, man. Gustav. Consume self HP by 15% of current HP and deals attack damage to a single enemy. Additionally, consumes 10% of current self HP and deals an extra 60% damage if his HP is above 75%. Man, that's a lot for an A1, man. The rest of his kit better do something to take care of him, because it's a nasty A1, but that's a lot of HP to be sucking up every time he does it. Consumes self HP by 30% of current HP and enters madness status. Restore self HP by 20% of the HP lost for 3 turns at the beginning of each turn. He is immune to dots when in madness. And acts 1 extra turn afterward. And you can get this down to 3 turns. When he's in madness, he is immune to all control effects. Okay. When he takes fatal damage without immortal, he immunes to this death and gains immortal, and his turn meter cannot be reduced for 1 turn. And then he immediately casts Boiling 1 extra time to the attacker when God of War is triggered. And then Boiling is consumed self HP by 30% of current HP and deals 720% attack damage to a single enemy. Additionally, consumes 10% of current HP and deals an extra 90% attack damage if his HP is above 75%. Forecasting the skill, extra damage ignores the target's defense, and the skill has 30% leech. An additional damage caps at 160%. His attack will be triggered. Man, that is a big old hit. He'd be one I'd have to play around with to really see, but like he's got a lot of interesting stuff going on for just a single target damage dealer. He's pretty complex. It would be fun to see him in action. Sinton, we know. We know all too well at this point. I actually have a guide up on him. If I remember, I'll card to it. He is my carry on my free-to-play. Just in love with him, man. He's so good. 180% defense damage to a single enemy with a chance to provoke. Damage to all enemies. Does more damage to targets under provoke. When you skill him up, he's got a 100% chance to counterattack. And then when you get his exclusive 2 and 3, he attacks targets under provoke status. He deals more direct damage. And then restores, so he gets a little bit of leech at his 3rd exclusive every time he launches a counterattack, which will be every time he gets hit, unless he's stunned or something. And then he puts a defense buff on himself and throws out provokes. And the cool thing about this is he doesn't hit anyone with it. It's just he buffs and throws out the provokes. So it's pretty nice. And then when you get his exclusive 1, removes all debuffs and grants block debuffs. So pretty sick skill. We're a fan. We're a big fan of Sinton. Eric is one I looked at recently because someone, I think it was Deep. Deep has pulled 4 Legos so far in this game, and 3 of them have been Eric, which seems like an anomaly. But A1 burn, AoE defense down with chance to burn and do other stuff with exclusive. Reduces the cooldown of Dual Blast and Bombardment Rain when he inflicts a kill. He gets 3 bombs at the beginning of each wave and gains 3 bombs at the start of his turn. He can carry up to 5. Eric has a 50% chance to use 1 bomb pursuing and attacking a random enemy 1 time when an enemy target takes detonation damage. 35% chance that no bombs will be consumed when he uses a bomb. And then here, attack damage to all enemies with a 35% chance to inflict burn. Inflict stun on the detonated target for 1 turn if this skill detonates burn. And burns are like bombs. It's kind of an interesting take on bombs. They do dot damage, but then when you stack an extra layer, they turn into a bomb and detonate. So then when they detonate, it triggers some other stuff in his kit. Seems like a fun champ. Seems like a fun champ. Mutu, I've seen him around. I have no idea what he does though. He looks like Christian. He looks like a legendary futuristic version of Christian, the epic they give you at the beginning. Damage to a single enemy and grants Boiling. He transforms into a werewolf. Okay. Haven't caught that yet. Increases attack 2 turns while gaining 2 layers of Boiling. Transforms into a werewolf. When it reaches 7 layers, he takes 10% less damage when in human form. When he's in werewolf form, he also has the damage reduction of the human form. Werewolf form is retained after he is revived or after wave transitions. Okay. He gains 2 layers of Boiling at the beginning of each wave, resets the cooldown of all skills when he transforms, and then when he's in werewolf form, increases his piercing rate by 6% when a turn starts. And then deals 540% attack damage to a single enemy and gains 3 layers of Boiling, 2 more layers if the target is killed. And then skill switch. Can we change his visual form too? I want to see what he looks like. You jerk. Damage to a single enemy with leech. Attack buffs and gains an extra turn. More damage under werewolf form. And then 2 stages of attack to a single enemy. Yeah, funky. Okay. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Garena? Interesting. Revive, huh? Damage to a single enemy and 2 random enemies with a 30% chance to reduce the target's defense. Okay. Attack damage to all enemies and increases the duration of all attribute debuffs by 1 turn. And then Horrify. Okay. Restores self HP by 8% of max HP when a target dies. Restores HP by 25% max HP and increases their turn meter by 25% whenever an enemy target is revived. Interesting. Grants all allies immortal for 1 turn and heal for 2 turns. Meanwhile, deducts self HP by 20% of max HP whenever an ally dies to revive this ally with 40% of max HP. Her HP will not be deducted to revive an ally if her HP is too low. Increases the turn meter of revived allies by 30% and grants them stealth. Okay. Yet they don't seem to want to make... There seems to be, generally, one, they didn't go too crazy with the revivers. And there seems to be some sort of like, not always punishment, I don't think is the right word, but I don't know. It seems like they didn't want revive to be like a super leaned on mechanic here. There's a couple of champs that have solid ones, like Winix, I think his name is an epic. He's got an interesting one. But for the most part, it doesn't seem like revivers are just completely broken. Like they're obviously strong, but like they're not just unreasonable. All right, we got an A1. I have Aisha on my main account. Want to build her too. Deals 30% more damage for every 1 enemy missing. It's an A1 AoE, which is dope. Pretty big single target damage here on the A2. And the lower the HP, the higher the damage dealt. That's kind of sick. She gains damage immunity and her turn meter cannot be reduced for 1 turn when she survives with less than 50% HP. And get it down to a 4-turn cooldown and will be triggered. And she's immune to this death when she takes fatal damage. And she cleanses all debuffs from self and grants block debuffs for 1 turn when it's triggered. Pretty cool passive. And then here, a reasonably solid AoE. Except it's better if their HP is higher. So it's a great way to open up a fight, especially in the arena. And then, yeah, she's cool. She looks sick too. Timmy! I don't think I've ever seen this dude either. We got some Doc Ock swag going here. Baby Doc Ock right here. Sort of. Pretty cool. What do we got? Damage to a single enemy with speed down. Steals all attribute buffs from the enemy. 180% attack damage to the target and restores HP for all allies by 60% of the damage dealt. Every 1 type of attribute buff stolen deals more damage up to 100, and then the target has shield. He removes the shield before dealing damage and grants all allies a shield of the same strength for 2 turns. That's pretty nice. That could be an interesting... Like someone that places a beefy shield. Pretty good. Grants all allies consolidation for 2 turns. At the beginning of each wave, all allies take 10% less crit damage when he survives. When multiple skills. Okay, so yeah, he's going to be nice for arena, countering some of the big hitting teams, as well as teams that go heavy shield. He's interesting. When his HP falls below 50% or he takes fatal damage, he gains immortal and his turn meter cannot be reduced. Meanwhile, he gains control immunity for 2 turns and a shield by 20% of max HP for 2 turns. Attacks a single enemy and then randomly attacks 5 times. Each attack dealing 70% attack damage. The skill also reduces the target's turn meter by 7% if the target's HP is above 50%. In addition, each attack has a 20% chance to reduce their attack by 40% or crit rate by 50%. And then reduces turn meter by 15%. Every hit, I think. And this effect is no longer restrained. Oh, okay. Yeah, he's dope. He's pretty dope. Nameless brother. All right, this is our last faction, huh? All right, let's do it. I was gonna say this video isn't as long, but it is. It just hasn't felt like it's gone on as long. Space, I think we're all pretty familiar with Space, but we'll take a look at her anyway. Attack damage to a single enemy and reduces their turn meter. Reduces more turn meter. Damage to a single enemy and reduces their speed. Meanwhile, puts a speed buff on all allies. Increases their turn meter at the beginning of each wave. And then restores all allies' HP by 10% and grants them a layer of heal and increases their turn meter. And then when you get her exclusive, it's a better heal and a lot more turn meter. So yeah, everybody has a Space. She's dope. Alec. Defense damage with a chance to inflict a stun. Chance increases for every layer of buff the target has. AoE defense buff and tenacity. That's nice on a 4-turn. With block debuffs. That's real nice. That's a beefy buff skill right there. Reduces the crit damage received by 28%. Transfers debuffs received by the ally with the highest attack to Alec. This effect can be triggered up to 3 times until the start of his next turn. Deals 2 layers of random buff from the enemy target with the highest attack. Oh, damn. So he's like anti, like glass cannon comp. I guess also, he's just anti nuke comp, I guess. Not even specifically single target. And then Consolidation 2 for 2 turns. Also grants a shield. Okay. Yeah, just like a solid protect champ. Pretty cool. Slavelle. She looks cool. What we got going on here? Attack damage. First stage reduces defense. Crit is guaranteed for second stage. Control immunity for 2 turns and increases all allies' attack. Extends the duration of control immunity to 3 turns and acts 1 extra turn after casting it. So basically permanent. Gets it down to 3 turns. Okay. Grants herself 1 layer of Sniper Master after she kills the target, which increases her damage dealt by 10%, up to 4 layers. When there's only 1 surviving enemy, she deals 100% more damage to this enemy. Also gains 1 layer of Sniper Master when an ally inflicts a kill. 560% attack damage to a single enemy. Crit is guaranteed for this attack. That is dope. Ignores immortal and damage immunity, and the enemy killed by it cannot... Oh, that's the only block revive I think I've seen so far. And that's a big ol' hit, man. Guaranteed crit. Big ol' single target nuke. Skilled up, it's huge. And then here, it can do more. Nasty single target nuke for sure. Valentin. We like Valentin. 200% damage to a single enemy with a 60% chance to reduce their defense. Bounces 2 times among all enemies after attacking a single enemy, dealing attack damage per time. 400% attack damage if there's only 1 target. And then with the exclusive, it gets an extra time, reduces more turn meter. His skills reduce the cooldowns of other skills, is basically the way to interpret that. When he's in Power Surge form, he grants himself a shield by 20% of max HP if he's not shielded at the beginning of each turn for 2 waves. So he's got some good protection. Good self-protection, good self-sustain. Here he cleanses all dot debuffs, resets the cooldown of Lightning Chain, and restores his max HP by 20%. At the same time, switches to Power Surge form for 3 turns and grants himself 1 more action turn. The skill's cooldown is 3 turns initially. So he can't use it right out of the gate. He has to... You start the fight with this on cooldown, and his other skills reduce the cooldown a little quicker, so he can use it on like the 2nd or 3rd turn, right? And then here, cleanses all his debuffs when he enters Power Surge form, and he's immune to control effects while in this form. Reduces the cooldown of Power Surge by 3 turns when he's not in Power Surge form, right? And then here his skills switch, and now he did damage to an enemy and 2 other enemies with a better chance to reduce their defense. I think it's a better chance, right? No, it's the same. It's just more on more than 1 enemy. And then here bounces 4 times among all enemies, dealing damage. And then he gets the extra bounce. He's cool. Kind of complicated at first, but pretty cool champ, and he looks just like Anthony Jeselnik. So there you go. Hal 9000. All right. Defense damage to a single enemy and grants a layer of decode. Increases damage caused by genetic shock. Okay, and here's genetic shock. 400% damage to a single enemy. Each layer of decode increases. There we go. After a layer of decode will be granted. All right. When he takes direct damage, he has a chance to shorten genetic shock's cooldown by 1 turn. Nasty. Each layer of decode reduces the damage taken by HAL 9000 by 2%. At the start of a turn, he restores self HP by 5% of max HP. Additionally, he restores self HP by 2% for each layer of decode. Cool. Reduces the duration of attribute debuffs and dot debuffs by 1 turn at the start of a turn. Also pretty cool. And then grants self taunt and immortal for 1 turn and consolidation for 2 turns. When an ally's HP falls below 40% for the first time after taking direct damage, he immediately casts Protection System. It can be triggered once per wave. Wow. Okay. And then there's Taunt again. We need to see how Taunt actually plays, though, to know just how strong it is. Anna's pretty sick. I looked at her recently, too. Chance to place a burn. Targeting 2 random enemies with a chance to place a burn, and then with an exclusive, it's an AoE. She gains 1.8% burn damage whenever she inflicts a layer of burn, stackable up to 10 layers. She gains 40% speed for 2 turns when she detonates burn or deals detonation damage, and then increases dot dealt by all allies by 20%. This is one of the reasons she's real good, I think, with that second exclusive, because that just ramps up your HP burns and your poisons and whoever else you have on the team. And HP burns are crazy strong. I still don't fully understand how HP burns work. My holder was at like 75% HP, and he caught 1 HP burn in a fight earlier, and at the beginning of his turn, he died. I'm not fully sure how they work yet, but like I have the general idea. I can't figure out how he died with almost all of his HP from 1 HP burn, but it happened, so we'll figure it out. And then attack damage and detonation damage to all enemies. Inflicts 1 layer of burn on enemy targets without burn for 2 turns. Okay, yeah, she's pretty cool. Nid rolled. He is another one I would have never known if you showed him to me. He was in the game. Never seen him. I thought she was going to be the last one. We got A1 bleed, AoE with damage increase for every layer of bleed. Cast it again up to 1 time if a target is killed. Increases the damage. Okay. Bleed damage increases the bleed damage dealt by 15%. Meanwhile, there's a 60% chance to convert direct damage to bleed damage whenever a target takes direct damage while under bleed status. All right. Increases the chance of converting direct damage to bleed damage. Why is that good? Is it because bleed damage ignores defense? Is that what that means? Maybe that's what that means. I'm not entirely sure why it matters. Attack damage to a random enemy 5 times with a chance to inflict. That's a lot of bleeds if it's a single target. Increases the number of attacks to 8. A lot of bleeds on a boss, dude. And then that is it. Took us about the same amount of time. I think like within 2 minutes. So that's it. We've now looked quickly at every champion in the game. Obviously, we won't commit it all to memory on the first shot, but now it's in there. It's in the bank somewhere. You at least have a general idea of what someone's going to do when you see them around. Still won't hurt to reference every now and then and refresh. But again, that's it. I appreciate you guys watching. You guys seem to like the first episode. So I hope this was beneficial for you, fun for you, if nothing else. And that's it. I'm going to get out of here. Appreciate you guys watching. Hope you have a good one. Later.